Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today I would like to bake for you cookies called Kolaczkis. I have done one video on Kolaczkis before with all kinds of gems inside, but today it's a different version of it. It has a nutty. It is a filling with nuts, honey, and a little butter. So it's a little bit different. Kolaczkis are those tiny cookies that fit perfectly in your mouth and you don't know how many you ate until you see the plate empty. They're very addictive. Every time we go somewhere and I bring Kolaczkis, those are the ones that disappear first before anything else. So it's a wonderful gift to bring when you go visit your friends or family. And they do taste wonderful. If you have a tooth for nuts, nutty tooth, these are the cookies for you. Welcome to my kitchen. Thank you for watching. For my Kolacky cookies, I will need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 sticks of butter, 1 packet of cream cheese, pinch of salt, and best is almond extract, unless you like rum extract, and you can put rum extract as well. So that part is for the dough. And now for the filling. Filling with nuts. You can mix any nuts you have. So I have some chopped pecans and walnuts, and I have an almond paste, which I bought at the grocery store and it was like $3. Honey, maple syrup, some butter, and of course, if you love pistachios and you want to incorporate pistachio into it, you are welcome to do it. You choose your flavors and the nuts you love the best. And if you wish, you can put a little bit of rum extract or the almond extract into it. And that is what I need for my delicious Kolaczkis. And here I am with my high-tech equipment. I do have Vitamix, I do have KitchenAid, I have all the tools, but there is no space in the kitchen to keep them all. And if I have a small project, I prefer small things so I don't have to carry everything around because those machines are heavy. And I'm 105. So my high-tech is right here. And this is my way of making my hands free. So if I need to grab something, this still can be on working and I don't have to take a break. The flour will go on the end, and it's important part to not mix and use a mixer when you mix the flour on the end. We start with butter. So the butter is a bit softer, but not too soft. I just don't want the butter to be straight from the fridge because it's gonna be very hard for the mixer to do its job. So I get my 2 sticks of butter in, mix it for a little bit, and then add my cream cheese to it with either almond extract or the rum extract. Your preference, whichever you like more. And one more thing before I start mixing. Why there is no sugar involved in the dough? You don't need sugar because your nut filling will have honey and maple syrup in it. And on the end, when you bake your cookies, you will sprinkle it with some powdered sugar. If you put any sugar in your dough, it will be way too sweet. So no sugar needed for the dough. 3 hands. Just 1 minute, and now I will slowly put pieces of the cream cheese into it and then mix it in between. Here I want to show you closer. You mix it until it's just nice and fluffy. So that's only the butter, cream cheese, and the extract that you chose. Okay, nice and creamy, kind of like a whipped cream. And now it is time to put the flour in. And I have a pinch of salt in there. Every time I bake something, it doesn't matter if it's a cake or crepe or pierogis, any dough with flour, you need to have some salt into that dough, because salt works with the gluten, makes the gluten stronger. So even with sweet things, you still need some salt. And here, the flour needs to be mixed slowly. You want your Kolaczkis to be nice and soft and crunchy and not hard with texture when you bake them. So that is your secret to making a crunchy, tender Kolaczkis. And now I will just finish it with my hands, because I'm the lady who likes to feel everything with my hands. So your dough will be a bit sticky, but that's okay, because once you are done mixing it, you will need to put it in foil and in the fridge for at least an hour. When that dough is colder, it is much easier to shape it. Now I can take it out, sprinkle just a bit of flour, in the foil, wrap it around, and in the fridge it goes for at least an hour. While my dough is in the fridge, it's time for me to make my nutty filling for the Kolacky cookies. All of us have different taste buds and like different textures, so this is another thing I want to mention. Just give you a couple options here. You can use any blender you have to blend those nuts, and they will be very fine once you blend them. If you don't want to have a texture that's really fine like flour, you don't have to use a blender. You can just use a hammer. I know, it just sounds funny. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself now. But I like to have it more coarse texture of the nuts. I'm a person who likes to bite and have the sensation of crunching and biting and grinding something. So I did not put it in a blender. I did not mix it, but I just put my nuts on a cutting board and just smash it a few times until the texture is just right for me. And that way my nuts are not completely fine, but have some texture to it. So those are just a couple choices for you, depending how you like your nutty texture to be. So this is up to you. But if you want to use a blender but you don't have any special machine, you can even use a coffee blender. It works fine. So anything you have in your house, you can use it, blend your nut. Now let's mix it all up and have our nutty filling ready. The way I do my nut filling here, 1/3 of a cup of that almond paste, have a cup of mixed nuts, and here you can see what I'm talking about, more grainy. This is how I like it. So I will put all of it together. If you want to make more of it, then you can also put it in a Ziploc and freeze it and have it for next time. About 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, a tablespoon of maple syrup, and just mix it all up. To change things a little bit, sometimes I put a couple of chopped apricots inside of it. That's just an option for you, an idea to change the flavor a little bit if you wish so. Those work really, really well with that nutty flavor. So what I would do, have few of them sliced very thin, very fine, and just incorporate that into my nuts. It's optional. I'm just showing you some ideas if you want to change something a little bit. So this is how it looks like. I don't want it to be too dry, because then your cookies will be, on the drier side. I want it to be a little gooey. Now, when my dough is ready, I will roll it and start making my Kolaczki cookies. It's been an hour. My dough was in the fridge, and now it's nice and cold and ready to work with. So the tools I need is a roller, of course, to roll my dough out, And I have a cookie cutter that's about 2.5 inches. If you have something a little bit bigger, well, you can use it. You will just have bigger cookies. But this works great. 2.5 inches for me is a perfect size. And now when I roll the dough, I'm gonna sprinkle the board with some flour, but I don't want to use too much flour so my cookies are nice and tender and crispy. I will mix a bit of powdered sugar with flour, just enough so it doesn't stick to the board. But remember, don't use too much flour, otherwise your cookie will be more dense and chewy. One more important part of making Kolaczkis: have a little dish with warm water and a little bit of honey. When you connect the ends together to lock the filling inside, lots of people have issue, and I did it too. The Kolaczkis tend to fall apart. So you will dip your finger, wet the ends a little bit, and then lock the filling into the Kolaczkis. And that will help prevent the Kolaczkis from falling apart while baking. Sprinkle with a little bit of flour, a little bit of powdered sugar, and this is the reason why I didn't put any sugar into my Kolaczkis, because sugar comes later. And if you don't have a cookie cutter, you can just use knife. When your dough is nice and cold, it doesn't stick and it's easy to work with. When your dough is warm, believe me, it is very difficult. And I hope you can see how thick my dough is when I make those cookies. So now I will have my filling in, and I did put it in the fridge. It was in the fridge with the dough. And now I dip my finger into that water with honey, put some of it on the ends, and then gently lock Kolaczki in. And here we go. Okay, now dip your finger in. And another one. One side, put some of that honey water in, and then lock your Kolaczkis. I guarantee this will prevent Kolaczkis from splitting apart while baking, and this is very frustrating because it does take time to make those. Some of us try really hard, and then half of the Kolaczkis are opened and they don't look that great. And while I am working with my Kolaczki cookies here, I can preheat the oven to 350. And there is one more way of making that nut filling, and it involves beating egg whites and putting egg whites with the nuts. So this is another project for me to show you how, but I think this one is easier. My favorite Kolaczkis are with blueberry jam. Absolute favorite. Okay, so now this one I will roll again, and as little of the flour and powdered sugar mixture as possible. Yay, my Kolaczkis are ready. My oven is preheated, so they can go in for about 12 to 15 minutes. I set my timer for 12 minutes for the first check to make sure they do need additional couple minutes, or if they're ready. But what is wonderful about this dough for Kolaczki cookies, that you can make it and put it in the fridge 3-5 days. It can be there. And then you can make your cookies again a couple days later. And another thing, you can freeze that dough. I actually have probably like 4 pieces of that Kolaczki dough in my freezer, because Kolaczkis go like this, that fast. Every time I have somebody over, if I need to make some, I just take the dough out of the freezer, or if I have it in the fridge, and then it doesn't take me that long to make Kolaczkis. And everybody loves Kolaczkis. Okay, I will see you in about 12 minutes. First check, and it looks like they need additional couple of minutes. My previous oven was exact. If I set the timer for 12, they were ready in 12. It was always the same. With the new one I have, sometimes it's 14, sometimes it's 16. My wonderful pretty gloves. And those are ready. For those of you who are not lovers, you're going to like those. The light in my house is not the greatest. It doesn't show the true, real color you would see live, like I do. But you can see none of them have split in half. Oh, maybe this one just a tiny bit, but let's say 99% of them stayed together so that honey and water works. I hope you enjoyed baking with me, and you will enjoy it even more tasting them. Smacznego, everyone. Bon appetit, and until next time. Thank you for watching. I would like to let you know why I am a big fan of using scale instead of the cups. I do put measurements in cups so it's easier. As you know, I'm from Europe, so everything for me is in grams. And here in United States, any recipes you have is usually in cups. But I want you to pay attention to one thing, so take it as a tip. I learned by mistakes because I've done it before. So I have put together a flour, the same flour, all-purpose flour, into the same measuring cups. Exactly 2 cups in here and exactly 2 cups in here. But I want to measure it using the scale and show you if there is a difference and how much of a difference it can be. So here is the first 2 cups of flour, as you can see, 2 cups. And here is exactly 2 cups. All around, no cheating. And I will turn on, and there's nothing here. My scale, so it's set to 0. Maybe I should show you. So it's set to 0. If you can see. Okay, and I will put the first 2 cups in. And it says it is 248 grams. So now I will take this into a different cup, and it's empty. Put it back. It comes back to 0. And now the other 2 cups. All of it. And this one is 314. So now you can see that 2 cups are not created equal, right? They do not measure on a scale the same. So why is that? Well, it's all about handling the flour. If we are gentle with it, the flour is fluffy, it's light, and then 2 cups, nice fluffy flour. If you handle the flour, shake it, kind of bang it, on the surface somewhere, it loses its volume because it becomes dense. So you keep adding to have exactly 2 cups, right? Well, but it's much more heavier. It's much more flour that you need. So if you ever had a cake and you tried to follow the measurements and directions and the cake wasn't quite the way you hoped, it wasn't as fluffy, it wasn't as delicate, it wasn't as soft, well, maybe because there was too much flour. So it's just a tip, and I hope you will find it helpful to kind of pay attention to how we handle flours. I know how it is when you bake something and you put your heart into it, time into it, and then it doesn't come out the way you hope for. And it's frustrating. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.